Hey guys, so I know it's been a while since I did one of my tea chats, but I had a few thoughts that I want to share with all of you. So recently, YouTuber Ranton made a video talking about all the reasons that he became disillusioned with his Shaolin Kung Fu training. Many of them very valid points, and I do agree with a lot of the things he said. And then my friend Damien from Kung Fit made a reaction video where he gave his own responses to all of those points. And I think a lot of the stuff that Damien said is really, really good. And it made me think a bit about my own training and the benefits that I've got from traditional martial arts. So I wanted to make this video to share on a more personal level what traditional martial arts have given me in my life, what are the biggest benefits, and why do I keep training them. And so for today's tea, I've got a rou gui, which is a oolong tea from Wuyi Mountains in Fujian province. It's quite heavily roasted, so it's quite a dark oolong, and it's got a very strong flavour with a real big kick to it. It's very sort of metally, I would say, minerally is the best way to describe it. It's a really, really good tea. And on that note, I think most of you know by now, I've started an online store called monkeyofferspeech.com, where I'm selling a selection of Chinese martial arts related items, including channel merchandise and other things, martial arts clothes, weapons. I'm also selling tea on there, so if you're interested in Chinese teas, keep checking it out because I'm constantly sourcing new teas straight from China, as well as really good quality teaware like the stuff that I'm using here. So I think one of the points that Ranton made is really pertinent and very, very accurate, and that's talking about the toxicity and the negativity in the Kung Fu world. You know, the reality is that there's a lot of fakes out there. There's a lot of people promoting an agenda, whether it's trying to build up their own ego, making money off, vulnerable and gullible people, or whatever. The thing is, social media has given us this amazing platform where we can share our knowledge, we can exchange and knowledge and experiences. We can bring to light rarer seen arts and bring more attention to them. So social media is a fantastic tool, and obviously there's money to be made from it, and I think it's only fair that when people have got something valuable to offer, they're compensated for it. We all have to make a living. That's completely understandable and fair. But that being said, there are people with nefarious interests that are distorting reality. They're promoting a fake version of martial arts. They've got an agenda where they're more focused on what gets the clicks. They don't really care if they're being ridiculed for promoting fake martial arts. They just want to get the clicks and the views. A lot of people are watching it to laugh at it, but they don't care because they're making money from it. There are people like that. There are people that have sort of cultivated this fantasy movie-like image of themselves as being, some kind of grandmaster who's got amazingly high-level skills and deep knowledge, and then they're selling courses for, crazy amounts of money. So that is a reality, that this sort of stuff is just everywhere. And unfortunately, because they're getting so much attention, people that aren't familiar with Chinese martial arts are seeing this sort of stuff and taking that to be, the representative of what Chinese martial arts is. So there is genuinely a very big problem there. And also it is, naturally sort of a human tendency to sort of overly focus on negative things, right? If there's some middle-aged, self-proclaimed master walks into an MMA school claiming he can beat them all up, gets his ass kicked, 2 black eyes and knocked out, that's always going to get more attention. never mind the fact that there are these kind of deluded individuals in any walks of life, and they're not representative of the community as a whole. Unfortunately, the way the internet is, people see that and take that as a representation of the whole. So, there are plenty of people out there making videos of themselves fighting with traditional martial arts successfully. Unfortunately, they just never get the same amount of traction as the negative stuff. That's kind of just the way it is. So I try not to focus on that stuff. It is out there and it does kind of taint us, but I try and focus on what I'm doing, and I believe that there's value in that. Anyway, that aside, I want to focus on the positives. So whereas in Damien's video on his channel Kung Fit, he was focused more on the tangible benefits that martial arts could bring to you as a potential martial artist. I want to focus this more on what it's brought to my own life personally, because there's been a huge value in the way that Chinese martial arts have steered my life in the direction that it's in. And I definitely wouldn't be where I am today in anywhere in my life if it wasn't for Chinese martial arts. So for a little bit of background, I started Wing Chun as a teenager. I think I was about 14 years old. I did Wing Chun from 14 to about 18. And I grew up in a small town in the north of England, in Yorkshire. Other than family holidays to Europe, I'd never really been anywhere, especially not by myself. But practicing Wing Chun had kind of stirred something up in me, and I became curious to want to go and see where Kung Fu came from. I didn't really know much. I knew it came from Guangdong province and Hong Kong, but I didn't know too much about sort of what's what in China. I just wanted to go there. And so I did. I spent 6 months backpacking from Beijing through China, through Tibet, Everest Base Camp, and then over to Nepal, through Nepal, and then around northern India. And that was a 6-month trip, absolutely life-changing. So many amazing experiences. It completely changed who I was as a person. And, that's when I knew that I wanted to spend more time in China. It fascinated me. It was just such an amazing experience. So I went back there. I ended up in Shandong province in the north of China as an English teacher. I started to learn to speak Chinese, and I'd get up early every morning. I'd go to the parks and try and find different, masters of different styles, and that helped me to integrate and come to understand Chinese people. It helped my Chinese language develop very quickly, and then eventually I was lucky enough to find my teacher Zhou Jiandong, and I became a formal disciple of his, and he passed on the system of Taiji Mantis to me. And that experience allowed me to see China from the inside, something that I don't think that many people get to do, because I wasn't just being an expat hanging out, drinking craft beer in Shanghai. I was actually kind of deep in it, in a more regional part of China. I was practically living at my teacher's home. I mean, I was at his home, pretty much every day, training, drinking tea, talking, just, understanding the life, understanding the thinking, the legacy of Taiji Mantis, what it meant to him as a person, the experiences he went through with the Cultural Revolution. So I got this real sort of intimate insider's view of China through that perspective, as well as interactions with lots of other Chinese. And of course, training like that, I was meeting, people from all different walks of Chinese life. Some people were, Communist Party members working in the government. Some people were like wealthy businessmen. There's like, taxi drivers and chefs and street sweepers and, farmers out in the countryside. Like, because of the martial arts, I was able to have this bond with Chinese people from so many different walks of life, which allowed me to gain this really, really deep insight into the general zeitgeist of the country. I came to understand a lot of the traditional culture. I came to understand a lot of the modern problems, things that are going on in society, the concerns in everyday people's life, the relationship between the people and the government, which is something that's very misunderstood. And so when I moved to Australia and I did my master's degree in international relations, which is a branch of political science, I focused a lot of my research on Chinese politics, and I was able to draw on my experiences and my first-hand insights into how China works, how do people really think, and sort of get beyond the textbook kind of realpolitik and great power politics that so much analysis of China is focused on. I was able to really look at it from, well, what do the Chinese actually think? What is the relationship between the people and the government? What is the kind of core thoughts that underpin how the Communist Party thinks and how they view the world and their place in it? At the same time, coming to understand the culture and the society and the way people view the world as well has given me a different worldview. It's made it much easier for me to connect with people from different cultures, even if I'm not familiar with their culture. Just that having lived in a society different to my own, I'm aware of the differences in societies and cultures, and so able to bring that into getting to know people. So I think that Chinese martial arts and practicing it the way that I have has given me a much greater appreciation for the world and different worldviews. And I think that perhaps more than just the tangible benefits of, greater self-confidence, ability to defend myself, greater fitness, strength, coordination. I think those are all really great benefits. But for me personally, what the martial arts has brought me has been that sort of worldliness, I think. And it's completely changed who I am as a person when I look back on who I was at 17, 18 years old in a small town, Tadcaster in North Yorkshire, to who I am now. I really have to say wholeheartedly, it's because of Chinese martial arts. So, it is easy to bash them. Like, it's always easy to find the negatives with something, but I have to be really thankful for all it's given me and made me who I am today. So I hope all of that makes sense. Maybe it was a little bit long-winded, but I wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to, give something a little bit more personal about myself and some of my thoughts. So I hope you enjoyed that. And as always, thank you for watching the video. Please go on to my new store, monkeyofferspeech.com. Really, really appreciate it. The store's just getting up and running. Thank you for that, and see you in the next video.